Let's see if we can today make some progress on the hatch, the pass-through part on the box. As you can see, we've covered the back of the truck with the anti-spatter welding cloth, and the thing I need to do now is I need to measure everything and make sure that everything is tickety-boo where this frame goes. And by this frame I mean that one. And before I can weld that one in, I need to cap the bottom of these two uprights. They are angled 90 degrees to the one that they're mating to, which means that there's a 20 by 20 hole at the bottom that I need to fill. And annoyingly, that's also going to be at a very disadvantageous angle to weld. So I need to figure something out with that one, and that's going to delay me. But let's get on with work today and see where we end up.
1 hour later.
A quick update. I have marked top and bottom where the frame goes, and when I put the frame in there, there's a discrepancy, which is why I've asked Kaz to come help me. He's going to use the bevel box thingy and see if we can discover a discrepancy, if the walls aren't straight or something like that. The frame is probably also not super straight, so we need to figure out where the discrepancies are and if we can correct them, or if we just have to make some compromises. So on with the work. As I mentioned before, this here is the problem area. This is the inside of the truck, and that is the outside of the truck, the front of the box. And the thing that this one is going to be welded onto is going to be like so, which means that there's a hole there. Now, with hindsight, I should have just made this piece go all the way out. That would have been easiest, and then this problem wouldn't have existed. And I'm going to just make a plug that goes in there and weld it shut. That way I don't have to worry about how badly I weld it on the truck. I can control this welding a lot better here in the garage.
2 hours later.
Right, a bit of an update. I TIG welded the plugs in at the end, so that now looks like that. I also removed, hopefully removed the zinc coating from there, so I can weld it without too much damage to me and the environment. Also, I have cleared the paint from the bottom, and we've cleared the paint from the top. Kaz was out here with the bevel box trying to figure things out, and we didn't come to any concrete conclusion. We have an idea that it's a little bit wonky, but it's sort of within spec anyway. But let's see how I get that one squeezed in there and see what the situation is after that. Let's see what happens when I try to bash that frame into that hole there. For those of you who watched the whole silly series of us building this, you know that I've spent a stupid amount of time trying to get everything in the correct positions. I've used a lot of different measuring devices, from tape measures to rules to bevel box, angle finder and so forth. I think in general that all that effort has paid off quite well, and I think the structure is pretty much within desired tolerances. My inner perfectionist would obviously like it if everything is within less than 0.5 millimeter, but that's never going to be the case in this situation. And my inner perfectionist is a jerk anyway, never happy with the outcome. Okay, boys and girls, clamp champ system going on here. I have managed to get it into position fairly well. It was a little bit cranky. That's why the strap is on up there. I'll show you in a second. It's there and it's good enough, and we have to kind of keep in mind that even if I've done a lot of work trying to get everything into the correct position, everything's still a little bit wonky. And when I'm talking about wonky, we're talking about 0.1 degree or 0.2 degrees or 3-4 millimeters, maybe even 5 at worst. But in general, that's the sort of wonkiness we're talking about. In a perfect world, everything would fit just like Lego blocks together. This is clamped like crazy here, especially the bowiness of that one. And up there was a little bit easier. Just this strap here, keeping it going to that side, and then registering forward and backwards. I put those pieces of metal there just to hold it in place from side to side. But apart from a slight gap there, which isn't that big at all now when I have done the rest of it. So yeah, I'm splitting hairs here. So let's get Spatamaster 5000 into action and do the bzz 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 bzz. Stupid. As you saw, I managed to make some horrible welds there, and I'm not going to show you any close-ups. It's funny how wind, sun and awkward positions make my welding even worse. You'd think it'd make it better, right? Well, it doesn't. Since then I've recovered a little bit from that sauna experience, and I like saunas, by the way. My initial idea for the rest of the front wall was that I would put a diagonal from bottom to the center there, and then I would continue from the center up to the corner there. But that leaves that whole wall, those whole outer posts, the ones that might take a huge beating if something hits there, such as a tree branch or something. So I'd like to have those strong, and I think the solution is to put a horizontal between there. That way the center there is supported too. The forces here for this, discarding any impacts that shouldn't technically happen, the forces here are actually that this whole construction sways from side to side. And as such, the triangulation of this is very important, because it sets the walls, the stiffness of the walls side to side. Otherwise the front wall might move separately from the rear wall. This is also why the roof is triangulated in such a way that it is, so that when this front wall moves sideways, the load should hopefully be shared on the roof, so that it makes the rear wall move in the same way. So with that in mind, I'm going to make two horizontals first, probably clamp them in place and tack them in place, and then do the diagonals. But yeah, that's sort of the plan that I came up with just about less than 10 minutes ago. This rapid prototype in organic engineering, making a lot of mistakes, works sometimes. Anyway, let's get on with stuff. Okay, lads and lassies, another great day here at the Compound of Chaos. The door there, Kaz has put plenty of coats of paint on it, and it's been dry now for 2 days, so I think it's safe to actually put into action in the hole there. And you remember us putting the crawl-through frame in and the two horizontals. So today, my job is to make 4 sticks and place them in the holes there, diagonal. There is more to this than just those things, but I will refrain from saying anything of that until closer to the time. So today is probably a bit boring, but let's get on with things, and let's first put the hatch door in place. Okay, boys and girls, some time has passed and I have cleaned some metal. But before I started cleaning the metal, I had a bit of a dilemma. If you watched previous episodes, you might know that we're sort of running low on the 20 by 40 by 1.5 wall thickness box section. And we have quite a lot of the 2.0 millimeter wall thickness box section. However, as the difference between 1.5 and 2.0 is 25%, it's quite a lot heavier. It's also quite a lot stiffer, which is why we have it. What I also have a lot of is 20 by 20 by 1.5. That is this stuff here. It is very good, and I have totally overestimated how much I would use for the box. Having said that, the 20 by 40 is very good for slightly longer distances. I am pretty certain that I will be using a lot more of the 20 by 20 in the future. Anyway, so here is a stick of the 20 by 40 by 1.5. Now, for reference, this stick here weighs 3.077 kilos, 3,077 grams. This stick here weighs 1.736 kilos, i.e. 1,736 kilos. Now, for my curiosity, I did some sciencing here on this dead tree. We are talking about the upper diagonals and the lower diagonals. There's obviously two sides, so we need two of each. The top diagonals, the upper diagonals, are approximately 106 centimeters long, and the bottom ones are 124 centimeters long. The 20 by 40 by 2 millimeter box section weighs approximately 15.86 grams per centimeters. The 20 by 40 by 1.5 weighs about 12.45 grams per centimeters. And the 20 by 20 by 1.5 weighs about 7.89 grams per centimeters. You don't have to memorize all of these, but basically I was faced with the dilemma of making the bottom ones out of 2 millimeter thick and the top ones out of 1.5, because I didn't have enough of the 1.5. The initial idea was that I'd make it all out of 1.5. The conclusion of the maths is that if I made the bottom ones out of 2 millimeter wall thickness and the top out of 1.5 wall thickness, 20 by 40, then the whole contraption, both sides, would weigh 6,574 grams, i.e. 6.5 kilos. As you can see, there's already a cross up there, so the stability up there is already kind of taken care of by that cross that is by the 20 by 40 by 1.5. I consider that silly strong. I decided that I should use the 20 by 20 by 1.5 for the upper ones. With the decision of using the 20 by 20 by 1.5 at the top and the 20 by 40 by 1.5 at the bottom, we come to the weight of 4,760 grams, both sides. So the difference between using the 20 by 40 versus this is 1,814 grams. That means by choosing the smaller upper ones and the thinner wall bottom ones, we've saved 1.8 kilos. And just for fun, I calculated what it would be if I would have used the 2.0 millimeter thick pieces exclusively, as in both sides, top and bottom. That would have been a total of 7 0.3 kilos, and the difference between the current lightweight design is over 2.5 kilos. So why do I tell you all of this? Well, one of the things I constantly get is that this system, building it with steel, is a heavy design. And whilst that has some merit, it's not that black and white. By choosing thin wall and the right size and doing it in the triangulation method, we can save quite a lot of weight. And just for reference, this part here, the two uprights and the cross and the flange and all of that stuff, that weighs less than 10 kilos. And keep in mind that the flange is actually 2.5 millimeter thick steel, so that is quite overweight for what it needs to be. 2 would have been better, 1.5 would have probably sufficed, but 2.5 it is, because that's what we have. If we add it all up, the central part, the hatch, the uprights, the cross at 9,750, those horizontals at 1,905 grams, and then the diagonals, as mentioned, at 4,760 grams. The total is 1,615 grams. Give or take a lot. Bottom line is that this whole front wall, without the perimeters and the thing at the bottom here, is about 16.5 kilos, 17 kilos if you want. I don't think that's very heavy, and I think that the strength that we have on the front here is immense. So that's what I wanted to get at. And even if you don't find this interesting, my head needs to have these confirmations to see that I'm on the right path and that I don't just believe feelings and things that feel right or wrong. I need to see the numbers, because that gives me true anchoring in the real world. Yeah. Anyway, I've waffled enough. It's time to cut the diagonals, and it's time to tack them in place. On with the show. As you saw, that's now fully welded. Spattermaster is driving me crazy. Sometimes the weld starts off just beautifully, and then it starts spitting and getting intermittent, and then it all looks horrible. But the way I weld these things is that there's way too much weld there anyway, so they'll be strong enough. Don't worry about that. They'll probably be a bit heavy, but who's counting weight? Hey. Anyway, I need a bit of a break before I start removing that support and fitting this side. So bear with me through this transition and I'll be back. Okay, boys and girls, the front wall structure is now done, welded in, that is. Still needs grinding and welding from the other side, but that is the amount of sticks that's going to be there. There's another thing that is coming, but not just yet, because right now I am absolutely beat and I need to resume another day. Oh yeah, didn't go too well, and I think it is nice and sturdy without too much heft. So I need to tidy up, and then game over for today. Morning, another day here, and as you remember, all of these are now welded in from this side, except the one I forgot down there, of course. So to weld them on this side, I'd need either a U-shaped welding torch and U-shaped glasses, and I don't have that. So the easiest way to deal with this is to tilt the cab. And you might remember from episode 19 and 20 where I built this and we tilted the cab. We can use this to tilt the cab, and that is a very good way of doing it, especially if you don't have a nice sturdy box. However, I think there's a better way. Let me show you. I think we can use this contraption if we attach it right there to connect to a hook that already exists there, kindly provided by Mercedes. That way we should be able to just basically lift the cab up using this device, and then we should have access to weld all of these things from there. We'll also have access to weld the underside of the crawl through that we weren't able to do earlier. That means that today I'm going to create a CAD template for a hook for there. One thing I haven't decided yet is whether I will put a stick here just for the sake of it. I think that 40 by 40 is strong enough to take the weight of the cab. The cab is in itself quite light, but mentally a stick here to prevent twist seems like a good idea. However, it's more work, more weight and all that stuff, so I might not do that. We'll see. Things evolve as they do. Let's get on with it. This is the CAD template that I came up with for the hook. I'm going to take this one step at a time. I discovered a bit of an issue. I might tell you about it later, or I might ignore it completely. I have transferred the location of the hole into that piece of metal here, and I've center punched it, which means that it's time to align the drill and make a 35mm hole. The hole could have been smaller, but I don't have a smaller drill that is big enough for the hook. So we end up with a 35mm, which is not a problem. Enough waffling, sorry, let's get on with stuff. I might have said this before, but our tool philosophy is that if we need to use the tool very often, we buy the most expensive and perfect tool for the job that we can afford. If it's a tool that gets intermittent use, such as the Evolution mag drill, then we try to buy a tool that has got decent enough quality and precision without spending top dough. The problem with the cheaper tools is not just quality and longevity, it is also that adjusting them is usually a real pain in the behind. This costs time and decreases the precision. The Axminster horizontal bandsaw was quite cheap, and as such, there's no way I'll ever get it to cut with perfect precision. It's still better than freehanding the cuts though, so I'm glad I have it. It looks pretty like this, but I decided that I should make speed holes in it. It's a bit chunky, and we have enough chunkiness on the bike, on the truck. So I need Mr. Speed Hole Maker, and cleverly I put the mag drill away already. So let's get it back out and make some speed holes. The speed holes roar! How's it going?
Oh, knackered. Pretty well, though. And now I'm climbing for and getting Unimog.
And that was the crazy. And here we have speed holes. Yay, speed holes! I'm going to make it a bit pretty before we get on to the next stage. Pretty speed holes. here's the hook attachment, and if you can imagine that this is the horizontal roof bar, the perimeter of the roof, and this is the forward direction of the truck. This one is designed to go onto there like so. And I said earlier that I thought about making a support that goes underneath there like so. This would be ideal from a mechanical point of view, but there's a slight problem with it, and that is that there is no surface around here to which to attach the cladding. And by cladding we mean the GRP skin or the FRP or whatever skin we choose eventually, and that will probably either need to be VHB and seam sealed or Sikaflexed, or some sort of goo needs to go there. So we need more surface area around here, and one solution to that is to simply put a triangulated gusset into there like so, that goes beyond that one, so weld it to that surface and that surface, and hopefully that should solve the problem with the goo. Which means that my next thing is to weld this one onto there, and then to make some form of gussets or triangulated plates. How's it going?
Special Master 5000.
Keep going.
My first weld on the truck ever.
Yeah. Well done. So how was that?
I'm a bit jittery at the moment. That's the first bit of welding I've ever done on the truck, and only my third or fourth bit of welding ever. So, but it's gone surprisingly well, actually. I'm vaguely pleased with it. Still more practice needed, and my helmet's falling down. There we go.
You did really well, thank you.
Thank you. Quite proud.
You should
Pleased.
be. You should be. This is how I got it set up. These ones are actually 40mm high. These are the metric minion squares. So I raised this up by 20 to get 40 there, but then I also added one extra of this same thickness as those, which means that I get this flush here, and that gives me the benefit. Also, there's another piece there. That gives me the benefit of that I can push these up towards the roundiness of the 40 by 40, so they're actually sticking up a tiny bit further than the actual 20 by 20. So, and I decided to go with square bits, because that way the surface area is bigger here. Otherwise, it would have kind of been cut off there in the triangle bit. So that is how it looks now, and obviously, next thing I'm going to do is weld these to that one. This is what we ended up with. It looks quite well. The TIG welds are always nice when you weld thick steel. Part of me wants to add more fillet into those, so I like fillet, especially the steak. But there's going to be a lot of MIG weld on the top part of this, so I think it'll be fine as is, because this cab isn't that heavy. And I doubt we're going to lift the box from there, but who knows. So, oh yeah, and I managed to shorten it out to the correct length, and I have even tried it up there. Yeah, you can see that up there. And it's now approaching 6 o'clock on a Saturday evening, so I'm not going to weld this in today. That's not going to happen, so we'll come back another day and see what sort of shenanigans we can come up with. So just after this transition or chapter mark. And as we left it last time, with this one ready to be welded in, that's what we're going to do. But before we can weld it in, I need to remove the paint from up there and down there, and then we'll just blast it in. Ahoy hoy fellow metal liquefiers. The hook is now up there and I'm completely beat already, and it's just gone 11 o'clock. So I think that a good idea would be to actually attach the hook, the cable, the winch, the lifting device before I start undoing the fasteners for the cab and actually lifting the cab. So let's see if it actually fits before we start creating more problems. That seemed to work just fine. The chain is not chafing anywhere, which means that it is okay for lifting, which in turn means that it's time to undo the bolts inside the cab and other things that need to be prepared so that we can tilt the cab. It looks like we're ready to tilt the cab. Kaz is going to do a final check so that we don't tear something off or break something. The 4 bolts on the inside of the cab have been loosened. The hinge points are connected at the front. The air cleaner hose is disconnected, and the heater matrix hoses are disconnected. There's no loose things in the cab, I hope, and I've opened the doors just so that we can see stuff and how things work here. Now let's see if that contraption works. Who'da thunk? It worked. My concern was always that the cable would be taut, as in like we would be pulling basically straight from the hinge point straight up to there, and therefore it wouldn't actually be able to do anything. And even worse, the feeling that I had was that the point of where the balance is on the cab shifts forward, there would still be some slack, i.e. it would basically jolt forward. As it happens, that didn't happen. It worked well. And we used the sticks that you are familiar with from the cab tilt mechanism episode, and they worked fine. The only thing that didn't work fine was my memory. Some of you might know that I have a very good memory, The only problem is that it's a bit short. So I should have put in the bolts from the inside of the plab so that they were protruding there before we started actually proper lifting. Other than that, it went really well. Now let's see if we can create some form of a platform here so that we can do the rest of the work. So without further mumbling and waffling, let's get stuff done. A few moments have passed and we have the mog hole hatch in place there, which is also wedging in the welding blanket, which means that that part is covered down there. That means I now should take the hoist off. I think the first thing I'm going to weld is the truck there, simply because that is the one that is most critical if the water starts coming in. So let's do that one first, I think, for now. Current plan. What's the plan? The bottom is now welded. Some of it was fine, some of it is horrible, as usual. I tried to remove the zinc coating before I fitted it in there, and I didn't get all of it apparently, but let's hope it's waterproof. That's what this is about. It doesn't need to win any beauty pageants. I'm going to give this a quick wire wheel and clean it up a little bit. Good morning, people. I'm out here quite early, at least for my standards. The job at hand is to weld the long stretch there, and then to weld the ones up there and there and there. There's still a few other ones that are not welded, but that's the priority. And once these are welded and ground, I want to put another piece of steel that I'm tapping down there on here. And the reason for that is that we have the steel, we don't have any GRP, FRP or any other plastic composite material that could go on here. And I'd like to cover this wall so that we don't have to raise the cab again just to do this bit. If we can cover this bit, because those horizontals there are sort of at the cab height. So if we can finish this off, that means that the likelihood of raising the cab again, which is a faff, is a lot less. I'm absolutely knackered from yesterday's work, so let's see how this goes. But let's find out by actually getting stuff done. Let's set up for welding that first. that went quite well actually. For some reason Spatmaster was in a good mood this morning. I have no idea, I have not changed the setting or anything like that, so yeah, it went quite well. Now the next thing I need to do is grind these welds so that this area is flat. As I said, annoyingly the one up there is still to be welded, and to get there with my right-handedness on this kind of left-hand outer corner, it's very difficult. Ideally I'd put the ladder in there so I could weld there, but there's nothing to put the ladder against obviously, so I'll have to figure that one out. But that one is pretty much the least important one. That could be welded when the cab is down and all that stuff. But this is now the main focus and main priority. But before that, I'm going to go and have a quick break and a bit of a breakfast. See you after this transition. I think the last footage was me doing this and other cleaning and sanding and grinding and flap disking on this side. Since then a lot has happened. We have cut a piece of steel that is to go here. We have indexed it. We have ground off the paint where I will be plug welding. Kaz has prepared the other side. The welder is in position. And I think that means that I need to get the welding helmet on and get on with this. This is very thin and it will warp like absolutely crazy. So I need to be quite careful on which, where I tack weld in what order. Otherwise it'll just warp like crazy. So I think I'm going to have to start at the bottom and then go upwards, both sides together. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it'll go well. My curiosity said that I had to weigh it, so luggage scaler. This is including the zip tie. What's the verdict?
6.38 kilos.
Can we see the measurement there, maybe? Can't see anything. 6.8.
3.8.
6.38. 6.4 kilos. That's not too bad. Kaz is currently cutting the second side, the driver's side panel, and for me, we had a bit of a victory here with the passenger side one. Tons of tiny tacks, really annoying. The wire kept getting stuck in the rig gun, and so didn't want to feed it. Don't know why that is. I'm suspecting it's got something to do with the zinc, making it extra sticky. But as she's not finished with that one, I'll just keep on welding until we have other things to do. So let's use my time as smartly as possible. So back in the welding suit and we're done. Horrible lighting, I know, but real life. The welding went quite well. I was struggling with the welder a lot. It just sounds more like making popcorn than frying bacon. But it's mostly done, yeah. So Cast has found a few places where I missed a little bit of weld. I'll be adding that on, and also two of the spot welds that go diagonally didn't hold. The plug welds, that is. You can tell I'm tired because I can barely talk. And we have the other side done. So Cass has been working on that and cut that one out whilst I was welding. It's a really good job. But she also reminded me that before the rain arrives, it is quite important that that top one is welded, especially now when the bottom one is fully welded. Otherwise we had a little 20 by 20 millimeter flask there for emergency water. And she kindly set up the ladder for me to fall off from, so I'm gonna do my best to do that trick for you on camera. So I'm gonna weld that top one first, and then we are going to tack weld the other one, and if I still have energy I'll keep on welding. But yeah, before I get into the welding gear, we'll put the other panel in place. So that wasn't very coherent. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. We're under a bit of stress here. Rain on Friday, it's Wednesday, so we need to get shiz done. How you doing?
Knackered.
Life with me. I guess we can call that a victory. Both side walls are now in, or front side walls, whatever. This one went okay. The tack welds on the bottom popped as I was starting to get a bit greedy and too eager to weld it. So there's a slight bump right about here, but I'm sure you won't tell anybody. The welder also started working a little bit better since I changed the consumables. I guess I should have changed that a long time ago, but to say that it fixed everything, it didn't. So the remaining factor is probably the operator. Anyway, I am absolutely shattered. It is 7:10, and as you might remember, I was out here quite early today, and I basically haven't taken any longer breaks than stuff the sandwich in my face, and still need to tidy up a little bit, and hopefully I'll have energy tomorrow to come and remove all the ugly welds. There is some stuff that needs removing up there too, and then the hook up there. I can't see, sorry, I'm pointing. So the hook around there should be tidied up a little bit too. And then when that is done, it's time for Cass to seam seal all of these things and slap a coat of paint. Hopefully we'll get that done before the rain comes. So I'm absolutely knackered. And end of transmission. I hope you can hear me despite the racket behind me. Yesterday's shenanigans reactivated a foot injury that I had, that I got for the first time just over a month ago. I had been nursing it with some careful leg work in the past month and a half or so, and it seemed to be gotten a lot better, which is why I was confident enough to take on this project. However, I have now been under the time constraint to get this ready before the autumn rain starts. So I was way too vigorous with regard to the foot in the last few days. And that now means that the injury is back about 40% to what it was. And at its worst, I could barely walk, as in like I couldn't put any weight on it. And don't worry, I've been to the doctor, it's nothing serious. I would describe it as a tennis elbow on the outside of my foot. And not that there's an actual elbow there, just the internals. Doctor people kind of know that stuff. Anyway, I had to pass the virtual baton, the real life angle grinder onto Taz. My plan was, when I went to bed last night, that I would grind the perimeters of the 4 panels, the 2 panels, the 4 sides of the 2 panels yesterday, and then Cass could come out later today and do the actual primering and seam sealing and painting before the rain arrives. Anyway, she's doing a great job. I won't disturb her too much. I'm going to hobble back and try to take care of my foot. So, yeah, real life though. Oh, by the way, top tip, don't get old. Getting old stuff.
Oh, hello. And I've been doing a lot of grinding. I've ground all of these flat on the bits of metal that Jocke welded in the other day. I've been grinding these plug welds, and I've then now cut back and reground the plug welds because 1 or 2 of them, well 3 of them, didn't take. I've rust converted, got a little bit more to do, and now I'm going to finish off the rust converting and do some seam sealer. And I'm not very coherent because I'm absolutely knackered. We worked out that this is 7.5 meters of welds that I've had to grind back.
How's it looking now?
It's looking pretty good, I think. I'm quite pleased. So up against the weather,
We have what is it? 6 hours.
8 hours before the rain's due to start. So I'm trying to get the seam sealer on, and if I'm lucky, I might get some paint, but I think that might be pushing it. Rust converter and seam sealer as a minimum.
Let's stop talking. Let's get stuff done.
I need to get on with it. Stop filming. Sorry, it's a little bit windy. Anyway, despite my doubts, I've actually managed to get all the seam sealers on. So what I've done is I've run some beads all the way down here, all the way down here, around the aperture here, and basically anywhere where we've welded and water could get in. So pretty pleased with the job actually. It all looks quite good. So now, time for me to go and have some lunch and wait for this stuff to dry. A little bit.
It's now 5 o'clock on a Friday. The rain is supposed to arrive sometime after 8 o'clock. The paint is out. The truck is covered up. But yeah, it's raining. We didn't make it. Any thoughts?
I'm going to cry. So upset.
If we would have had what, less than an hour, it would have been painted. And it's epoxy paint, so it doesn't even need heat or anything. It just chemically cures.
The only thing I'm pleased about is that we got a couple of. It's been threatening to rain for about 15-20 minutes, so at least I got the tarp on the back, and I hadn't started mixing epoxy paint that was going to go off in this weather, so at least...
Yeah, so the victories are many, but we've fallen short just about, yeah, I think it would have taken you an hour to apply the paint.
We needed 2 hours of good dry weather.
Well, not even dry, no physical raindrops. The victories are obviously that the whole contraption is up and it has been ground, which is a huge job, thanks to Kaz finished that. And we re-welded the plug welds that let go, and you have applied seam sealer, so it's sort of waterproof, but the only protection against corrosion is the rust converter. And to be fair, it's quite good, so if the rain holds up for a couple of hours tomorrow, it can still pretty much be applied.
It's meant to be dry tomorrow, so
yeah, well, it's meant to be dry now.
Yeah. But no, I really do. I just want to cry at the moment. It was...
Yeah. It would have been so wonderful if this would have been done and we said, close the garage, we're now taking weekend and enjoying ourselves.
Yeah, it's not possible. And it's so annoying because we've tried so hard the past couple of days.
We've basically both beaten our bodies to the pulp, hoping sort this out.
And I was out here till what, 8:30 last night?
Yeah.
I was out before work.
And my foot is so painful, it's unbelievable. We're still trying to get things sorted, but no. The cab is waterproof, the seams are seam sealed, so well done.
Well done, you too.
Ah.
I've got to go to the shops and buy some dinner.
Can't win them all, but it would be nice to win one. Right. Screw you hippies, I'm going home.
1 hour later.
Right guys, last time I spoke to Cass, she said that she would go outside and monitor the situation. She took some towels with that. The sun came out and she dried things off. Let's see what's happening. Oh, I can smell paint. There she is. We're painting.
Possibly
She's not giving up.
Possibly being stupid, but we're giving it a go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like we've been stupid before. What? No, we have been. I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Give it a go. Got the biggest brush I could find.
This is a gorgeous grey. The clouds seems to be quite far up, and so hopefully they'll scoot by, and crazy cats can make this work. Let's keep mentally cheering here. I guess I shouldn't have said that about the clouds and stuff, because that sure jinxed it. There's a very blurry line between determination, not giving up, and knowing when to quit because you're just making things worse. I have frankly no idea where we stand at the moment. But Kaz is not giving up, and I have just been climbing there on the climbing frame again, which I shouldn't do, which probably sees me immobile for another few days, but hey, what we have the big tarp up, and it is covering the front of the cab, so there's actually quite a good space there to paint, and the rain seems to be coming from this direction, where we have basically quite a lot of the tarp on this side, so it's actually quite good. I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but I guess stupid is, stupid does. How you doing?
Wasn't I on here?
Good, good.
Very
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think this is going to go okay.
Okay.
Sorry about the bad lighting. I'm in my tent. Well, I've done some pretty stupid things in my time, but I think painting in the rain probably counts as one of the most stupid. But do you know what? I think it kind of works. Well, I won't say I think it kind of worked. It has worked. I've stayed dry in here. There's been a few drips on my back, but nothing where I'm actually painting. Nothing on the paint that I can see. And funnily enough, the rain has actually stopped now, so hopefully things will actually have a chance to dry up. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Bye-bye.
Tomorrow.
Morning. What is it they say? It's the morning after the night before, or something like that. Oh, it's now morning time, and my painting tent seems to have fared quite well during the rain and wind last night. We've only lost one clamp, so the paint looks good. It doesn't seem to have been bothered by the rain, so the tarp did its job. Anyway, so now it's time to get on with painting and finish the job off. Wish me luck. couple of hours later and I'm done, and I'm really, really, really pleased with the results. I tried using the roller this time instead of the brush, and it looked pretty good, even if I say so myself. Anyway, there's primer now on everything, and the sun is shining, the skies are clear, so I think we're good to leave this to dry for a bit, and job done.
Do you want to say the outro? Let's try again.
What outro am I saying?
The same thing again.
The same thing again. As you can see, we made it before the rain started, and when the rain starts, it starts proper good.
Proper good. Anyway, I think this is where we're going to cut the episode off, because I want to go inside.
I'm getting dry. It's horrible out here.
Thanks for watching. I hope to see you when it's a bit drier. Screw this shit.
Well, I've been quite rubbish today and I've not done any filming at all. But I've been sanding the back of the cab whilst it's all nice and tilted, with the aim of getting some lovely 2-pack epoxy primer on. And I'm mixed and good to go, and it smells lovely. It's my pants. Here you can see the end result. I've applied 2 coats of Interprotect primer and 2 coats of Top Lack Plus. The top coat has been applied predominantly using a roller, and the colour is a Mog Toy Secret, mixed from Atlantic Grey and Black, with the addition of some matting additive and thinners.
Kaz has been diligently painting the back of the cab. This is the first part of the whole truck that has been painted in what we will consider a final color. However, when we were fighting the rain arrival, Kaz did a bad job on this seam here. I don't know if you can see it, but there is quite a lip right there. And the same goes for this one, albeit a lot less. Before we dump the cab back down, we also want to paint the front of the box. And the reason why this surface here is important is this will be where the cladding will overlap with the sheet metal. So having a lip on a lip on a lip is kind of starting to look like Mick Jagger. That's not a good thing, which means that I will now proceed to grinding that down and then reprimering it, and hopefully we will have the front of the box also painted very soon. Well, that took a lot longer than needed, but I guess it needed it. The next step is to give it a quick sanding and then some paint, but that'll be another day. It looks pretty good up there though. Yeah, another day.
Eventually.
Hey, what you doing?
I'm rolling.
Is that how you roll?
I'm rolling with it. No, I'm putting what hopefully should be the last top coat on the back of the habitat, front of the habitat.
Yes, it's the front.
It's the front. I'm looking at it backwards, it's the back, yeah, on the habitat. It's gone quite well, so...
Pretty nice.
Yeah. Like the colour.
Yeah.
Yoka picked well. Or mixed well.
You mixed it. I told you.
Yeah, you backseat drove. At this point, the pass-through project has taken about 18 months. It has taken a ridiculous amount of time, and we were fed up. However, before we could lower the cab, there was still one more thing that needed to be done, and that was to relocate the breather bracket. As Yoka was focusing on the rear rack, I took this task on, but I still need a lot of his time and knowledge. The first version didn't work at all, so we restarted and decided to mount the breathers directly onto the front of the habitation box. I probably should have filmed this, but we were fed up and wanted this part of the build concluded. That means there's no footage of the bracket fabric cobbling at all. We've got a few photos, and that's what you're seeing here. Some 22 months after we started the fairly simple process of cutting a hole in the truck, we were finally able to lower the cab. We were done, or so we thought. Time has passed, and we have since discovered that the bracket has now detached itself from the front wall of the box. At some point we'll need to reattach it, probably using heat, which will mean that some parts will need repainting. But that's a problem for another day. This project is sort of done, and so is this video. Thank you ever so much for watching, and we hope you stick around and return for the next lot of silly shenanigans.